So let's take part in the 2020 YeonSu City Asia Pacific UNESCO Learning City Conference.
Hello, my name is Park So-young and I'm from 한국경제 TV, and I'll be the MC for today's conference. I'd like to sincerely welcome all the participants from lifelong learning community, both from home and abroad, and from now on, we'll be opening the 2020 YeonSu Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference under the theme of GNLC's challenges and growth in Asia Pacific region. And today's forum is co-hosted by Korean National Commission for UNESCO and Korean Association for Lifelong Learning Cities. And also it is co-organized by NILE, UNESCO Institute of Lifelong Learning. And our sponsors include KFLE, KALE, Korea Lifelong Learning Promotion Foundation, as well as Lifelong Learning Times. And now let's begin 2020 YeonSu Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference. First off, the mayor of today's host city, YeonSu, that has a slogan of Future that we open together, YeonSu, where we live together, will be delivering an opening speech. Please welcome.
Hello, this is Nam Sok-go, the mayor of YeonSu. First of all, I would like to thank President Moon Seok-jin of Korea Association of Lifelong Learning for hosting today's conference, and Kwang Ho Kim, Secretary General of the Korean National Commission for UNESCO. I also want to express my gratitude to the Director of the UNESCO Lifelong Learning Center, David Acharena, Program Coordinator Raul Valdez-Cotra, the President of the National Institute for Lifelong Education, Yeo Gak-yun. They are encouraging the promotion of global lifelong learning and trying to improve the educational equality of many learners suffering from poverty and conflict. Also, I must express my heartfelt thanks to the Director of the UNESCO Asia Pacific Regional Headquarters, Shigeru Aoyagi, and the Director of the Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, Hyun-muk Lim, for the active support of this conference, and the chairperson of the GNLC YeonSu City Council, Song-hae Kim, Mayor Sung-won Park of Gwangmyeong City, Vice Chairperson, Governing Board of UIL, Unsil Choi, Professor Sung-hee Han, Seoul National University, the mayor of each country, the chairperson of each city council, and the people involved in lifelong learning, who really responded to the case presentation. I appreciate all your efforts for lifelong learning city. The participation of many people in this conference through the video is also very appreciated. We are living in a complex, rapidly changing era where political, social, economic, and cultural norms are constantly being redefined. In particular, through the spread of the COVID-19, we have come to realize that the uncertainty that we have not predicted can be a problem not just for the reason, but for the entire human race. Therefore, today, we urge action to change the world for the coexistence and prosperity of human beings, not to leave no one behind. We are coping with global problems such as economic crisis, social insecurity, climate change, and poverty. Korea has experiences of suffering from various obstacles after the Korean War. Our education did not stop despite the ruins, and our desire for education for a better tomorrow served as the most important driving force for the growth of Korea today. Based on these experiences, we want to share our experiences in resolving global issues with Asia-Pacific countries, establish a cooperative system, and promote the activation of regional networks to grow together. In addition, the international community is moving forward to an era of peace, coexistence, and harmony from past supremacy, domination, and economic invasion. Asia, which possesses brilliant cultural values, is expected to become the leader of a new era. Therefore, taking today's meeting as an opportunity, we will build trust based on the partnership between Asia-Pacific learning cities. To achieve the education for all, we will gather opinions and move toward Asia-Pacific united through lifelong learning. Once again, I would like to thank everyone who attended. From now on, we will start the 2020 YeonSu Asia-Pacific GNLC Network Conference. Thank you.
Next is a
다음은 축하
congratulatory
공연이
performance
있겠습니다.
which will be
오늘의
delivered
축하
by
공연은
YeonSu
아시아
City's
태평양의
traditional
GNLC
artist
협력
group
체계의
as they wish for
성공적인
the
출범을
successful
기원하는
launch
의미에서
of the
프론티어란
GNLC
곡으로
system in the
연수그립
Asia-Pacific region. They'll be
전통예술단이
presenting a song
열연하시겠습니다.
called
연수그립
They
전통예술단은
play
다양한
different
국악기들을
Korean
연주하고
traditional
공연하는 단체로
instruments, and they
2004년
began
연수그립
their activities back
풍물단으로
in
활동을 시작했는데요.
2004
현재 고석용
under
예술감독의
the
지휘 아래
direction of the
30명의
director,
국악
Mr.
전문가들이
고석용,
전통음악과
around
창작음악
30
공연을
artists
연수구의
being
다양한 공간에서
performing
활발하게
at
펼치고
various
있습니다. 여러분
places
큰
in
박수로
YeonSu City.
맞아주시길
Please
바랍니다.
welcome. Once again, please give them a big round of applause. I thank you all for joining with us despite your busy schedule, and the 2020 YeonSu Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference once again is being held both online and offline. And now I'd like to introduce to you our distinguished guest. First, let me introduce to you our guests joining with us in our studio. First, Mr. Moon Seok-jin, President of KALLC, is with us today. Next, the host city's mayor, Mr. Ko Nam-seok of YeonSu City, is joining with us. Please welcome. Next, Ms. Choi Un-sil, Vice Chairman of UIL, is with us today. Last but not least, Dr. Yoon Yeok-kak, President of National Institute of Lifelong Learning Education, is being with us today. Next, let me introduce to you our distinguished guests who are joining with us online. Mr. David Achuarena, the Chairman of UNESCO Institute of Lifelong Learning. Mr. Shigeru Aoyagi, the Head of UNESCO Bangkok Office, is with us. Next, Mr. Kim Kwang-ho, Secretary General of Korean Commission for UNESCO, is joining us online. Next, Mr. Im Hyun-mook, Director of Asia Pacific Education Center in UNESCO APCEIU. And Ms. Kim Sung-hae, Chairman of YeonSu City Council in Korea, is joining online as well. Last but not least, Mr. Han Sung-hee, Professor of the Department of Education in Seoul National University, and he is also a member of the editorial committee of UIAL. And I'd like to once again thank all our distinguished guests who are with us despite your busy schedule. And now let us welcome Mr. Moon Seok-jin, President of KALLC, for his welcoming address. Hello. I'm the president of the Korean Association of Lifelong Learning Cities and Seodaemungu Mayor Moon Seok-jin. We are here today to explore the direction of development of Asia Pacific GNLC learning cities beyond Korea. And it is a great pleasure that we hold today's 2020 Asia Pacific UNESCO Global Network Learning Cities web conference here in YeonSu City, Incheon, Korea. In particular, it is even more meaningful that we get to meet people and participants from the learning city community from all around the world online in the midst of COVID-19. First of all, let me send my deepest greetings to our participants. Director of the UIL UNESCO Lifelong Learning Center, David Achuarera, Laurvati Kudera. Welcome. Shanghai City's Chairman Min Ching-ni, Wan Ping-ni from Wuhan City, Sally Edwards from Melton City, Australia, Ralph Barron from Hamburg in Germany, Rob Stewart, Chairman of Swansea City in UK, Daniel Quintero, Mayor of Medellin City in Colombia. I welcome you all. In a situation where everything is uncertain like now, cooperation between learning cities and the role of cities are very important. I think COVID-19 crisis facing the world is another opportunity. In particular, in order for us to overcome this crisis, connection between cities will be the greatest strength. Korea uses lifelong learning as an essential strategy to strengthen national competitiveness, and it is being promoted as a core policy for lots of basic autonomous organization. The project for lifelong learning city started in 2001 and has built a lifelong learning system and infrastructure and contribute to the spread of a lifelong learning culture. The association is a special group of 177 cities nationwide designated as lifelong learning cities by the Ministry of Education. The mayors of cities in Korea and the training centers of 75 education and support offices gathered to build a network and cooperate with each other to improve the quality of life for citizens and promote balanced regional development. As the president, I believe today's event is very meaningful, especially today. We'll be seeking for cooperation and networking. And I hope that this will be a place to lay the foundation for the global network formation. Last but not least, I thank you all for your participation, including Mayor YeonSu City Namseok Ko, Vice Chairman of UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning Center, Won Sil-chae, Vice Chairman of UNESCO Korea Committee Kim Kwang-ho, Secretary General of the Korean National Commission for UNESCO Yoon Yeok-hak, Director of National Institute for Lifelong Education, and Lee Sung-hee, President of the World Citizenship Education Center, who will give us keynote lecture. Once again, I express my gratitude and I wish you all good health and good luck. Thank you. And next is the video message delivered by David Achuarena, Chairman of UIL.
Mr. Ko, Mayor of the City of YeonSu, Mr. Moon, Chairperson of the Korean Association of Lifelong Learning Cities, Mr. Kim, Secretary General of the Korean National Commission for UNESCO, Mr. Yoon, President of the National Institute for Lifelong Education, Mrs. Kim, President of the YeonSu City Council, dear mayors, members of the UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities, ladies and gentlemen. We come together at the Asia-Pacific Regional Network of Learning Cities Conference to hear cities from around the world share their experience of networking, practice and mutual cooperation at local, national and regional levels. The Asia-Pacific GNLC Network Conference is an exciting and timely initiative. I warmly congratulate all stakeholders involved in this undertaking, the learning cities in the region and the organizers of the conference who have also organized today's event, the Korean Association of Lifelong Learning Cities, the Korean National Commission for UNESCO and the UNESCO Learning City of YeonSu. More than half of humanity lives in cities today. As the most densely populated region in the world, Asia hosts numerous cities with populations in excess of 10 million. Cities are key players for achieving the SDGs, including Sustainable Development Goal 4 on education. With the launch of this regional initiative, you are making an important contribution to a more structured exchange on lifelong learning policies and good practice among learning cities in Asia. Learning from each other is of utmost importance, particularly given the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Cities have been at the front line in dealing with these challenges and for ensuring continuity of learning for the citizens. I look forward to the increased cooperation between the learning cities in the Asia and the Pacific region, enabling people of all age and socioeconomic and cultural backgrounds to benefit from quality education and lifelong learning is the shared vision of learning cities, and you are making it happen. Once again, congratulations to all of you for launching this important regional initiative. I look forward to our continued and growing cooperation in the future in promoting learning cities in the region and strengthening synergies with other regions within the framework of a global network of learning cities. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Lim Hyun-mook, Director of Asia Pacific Education Center in UNESCO, APCEIU, will be delivering a congratulatory remark online. Hello. I sincerely congratulate you on the hosting of 2020 Asia Pacific UNESCO Learning City Conference. 2020 is the year that we need the spirit of solidarity and cooperation more than any time ever. At this time, today's meeting is very meaningful and important for UNESCO learning cities in the region, as we will discuss how to build a platform to promote future cooperation exchanges. UNESCO Asia Pacific Education Institute has been working with UNESCO members for the past 2 decades to promote international understanding and global civic education. In particular, we've been striving quite recently to spread the global civic education worldwide, to foster global citizenship, which is essential for solving problems such as climate change and refugees. Global civic education has become more important due to the COVID-19 crisis. Global cooperation is essential indeed to cope with global crisis, and the global cooperation is the tool for building global citizenship. Although education, lifelong education, is more important than anything else in order to realize that we are united as human beings, regardless of the race, ethnicity, religion, and gender. The role of UNESCO Learning City is so big here. Today, due to the rapid technological and demographical changes, lifelong education is becoming more and more important. Among various themes of lifelong learning education, civic education especially holds importance to help citizens build friendship and solve difficult challenges together. In this rapidly changing world, we hope that the UNESCO Learning City Conference hosted by YeonSu will serve as an opportunity to greatly promote civic education in terms of lifelong education. And thank you all for your participation. Thank you. Next is Shigeru Aoyagi, the head of UNESCO Bangkok office. Please welcome.
It is my great pleasure to address you today. On behalf of UNESCO, I'd like to congratulate the organizers, Korean Association for Lifelong Learning Cities, and Korean National Commission for UNESCO. It is very encouraging that the city of YeonSu is launching the Global Network of Learning Cities Asia and the Pacific Smart Platform today. UNESCO appreciates the leadership of the Republic of Korea cities in the global network, with 46 of the total 174 member cities being Korean, a remarkable number showing strong commitment to promote SDG 4, ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. In recent decades, UNESCO Bangkok has promoted lifelong learning, adult education, non-formal education, and literacy programs in Asia and the Pacific through community learning centers. We have set up several platforms to connect more than 20 governments to gather knowledge and to develop the institutional capacities of ministries of education and NGOs. Through these activities, we have developed about 50 publications on relevant topics and themes. Based on these publications, and with a number of technical partners, UNESCO Bangkok recently produced online courses on lifelong learning and community learning centers with 11 modules, which were viewed more than 1.4 million times globally. There is no doubt that lifelong learning has become even more important for us all in this rapidly changing world, especially facing and recovering from the COVID pandemic. We cannot emphasize enough the importance of the leadership and actions of city governments to promote lifelong learning in light of their diversity, local context, and unique needs. UNESCO Bangkok is grateful for the leadership of the city of YeonSu in launching the smart platform and looks forward to further collaboration with many partners to make this platform prosper and expand the global network throughout the region. I wish you great success in building and strengthening the network during this conference. Thank you very much.
Next is Dr. Yoon Yeol-kak, President of National Institute of Lifelong Education. Please welcome. I'm Yoon Yeol-kak, Director of the National Institute for Lifelong Education in Korea. Welcome to the 2020 YeonSu Korea Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference. the difficulties caused by COVID-19 have brought us to realize the importance and the necessity of international solidarity and cooperation that UNESCO has emphasized. Faced with a challenge that must be resolved globally, we should consider and practice ways of international exchange and communication with our residents at the learning city level. And to that end, building a smart platform is becoming an alternative. Let's hope that this conference will serve as a venue for practical discussions on sharing experiences and taking a leap forward to GNLC in the Asia-Pacific region. Once again, I'd like to welcome everyone who participated and take this opportunity to thank everyone who prepared this conference. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Next is Mr. Kim Kwang-ho, Secretary General, Korean Commission for UNESCO. Please welcome with a big round of applause. Hello, I'm Kim Kwang-ho, Secretary General of the UNESCO Korea Committee. First of all, congratulations on hosting the 2020 YeonSu Asia Pacific UNESCO Learning City Conference, and we sincerely welcome everyone who participated in this event. Also, I'd like to thank all the people who put their efforts to prepare this event, including those from YeonSu City. It's been 6 years since UNESCO's Global Learning City Network was established. Many cities have joined the effort to achieve the UN's Sustainable Development Goal through the promotion of lifelong learning in cities, and with 55 new cities joining this year, 229 cities in 64 countries are participating in GNLC activities as of 2020. In Korea, including Songpa, Busan, Gwangju, around 50 cities have joined GNLC. Also, Goyang, Osan, and YeonSu City are joining as coordinator cities, and they've been playing an active role in promoting GNLC cluster activities. Especially YeonSu City, a coordinator city for world citizenship education, is preparing for a cluster meeting in November, not just today's event. In the Asia-Pacific region, currently, we have 60% of the global population. More than half of them, 2.3 billion people, are now living in cities. And by 2050, the number is expected to increase to 3.5 billion. Also, the Asia-Pacific region has diverse cultural elements with 3,200 languages spoken by various ethnic groups. The region is now going through a tough time with the COVID-19 that broke out this year, along with the rest of the world. In terms of UN's Sustainable Development Agenda and 17 Sustainable Development Goals, its main message, equity and embracing, the region still has a long way to go, and the city government's role is becoming more and more important in achieving them. UNESCO's Lifelong Learning Center, back in 2019, has published the 4th World Adult Learning Education Report. According to this report, about 30% of the respondents since 2015 have not made any progress in adult learning and education policies, and more than half of them were those in Asia-Pacific region. We believe that the promotion of lifelong learning in the Asia-Pacific region will be an important means of achieving sustainable development goals, and the role of city governments will grow, and also the cooperation and solidarity among GNLC cities in the Asia-Pacific region should be reinforced. And I hope today's event will serve as a valuable foundation for creating synergy where the lifelong learning in the Asia-Pacific region can take it to the next level. Next, let's invite Ms. Kim Sung-hae, the chairman of YeonSu City Council in Korea. Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YeonSu and people of UNESCO Global Learning City Network, it's great to meet you all. I'm Kim Sung-hye, Chairman of YeonSu Council. At this meaningful event, it is a great honor for me to make this congratulatory speech. Congratulations on the opening of the conference on behalf of the YeonSu Council. Also, with the love for the people, to raise its status as a global lifelong learning city, Mr. Ko Nam-seok, the head of YeonSu City, has been putting tireless effort. And Moon Seok-jin, the president of the National Council of Lifelong Learning, David Achualena, director of UNESCO's Lifelong Learning Center, we sincerely welcome you and many others. And most of all, despite your busy schedule, many participants are joining with us today, so I thank you very much. I believe that through this conference, YeonSu City will become the one that is recognized for its lifelong learning education. Going forward, anytime, anywhere, our YeonSu City will be the one where you can learn and share. And to make that happen, we'll work tirelessly along with our 12 members of the Council. Once again, I sincerely congratulate on the hosting of Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference of YeonSu, Korea. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your remarks. And before we start to continue to the opening session, I would like to have time to introduce ourselves to each other. Please turn your video on, please, so that we can see each other. Please turn on your video, please. Yes. Okay. Please turn on. Okay, now. Yes, people comes out. Hi. Can you hear me? Thank you. It takes time because this message comes from the international, communities. Okay. Okay, let me ask people from abroad introduce themselves to others, because we do not have enough time to introduce everybody who are participating in this conference. So let's start from Christiana from
Good morning,
UIL.
good afternoon, all of you. Good morning, good afternoon. I am program specialist in UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning, and I'm pleased to participate in this conference. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Jürgen Vogel from Hamburg.
Yes, hello everybody. This is Jürgen from the city of Hamburg. I'm pleased to join in and enjoy it, but I'm sorry I cannot find the translation button on my screen. So I listen and just watch it.
Okay, you can find the menu on the bottom on your screen. You can see globe icon. Then click the globe, the global icon. Then you can find the English. Can you try? You can find the globe icon in the center of your bottom of your screen. Maybe Christiana can teach him later, because you are both in Hamburg. So you can call him. Okay.
I will do.
How about Diane Tabak?
Hello. Yes, thank you. I'm Diane Tabar. I'm the coordinator of learning community with Wyndham Council. So Wyndham is about 30 kilometres southwest, of Melbourne in Victoria. Yes, and very happy to be here and part of your conference. A very impressive welcome and a very impressive start so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, okay, Miss Unsil Choi, the Vice Chairperson of UIL Governing Board, please say.
Hi, everybody. It's very the special occasion for us. My name is Choi Un-hil. I'm working as the Vice Chair of the Governing Board of the UIL, and also as a representative of the Korean Foundation of Lifelong Learning. Today, we can learn each other, and we can formulating the lifelong learning community in the world, particularly among the GNLCs. Again, thanks for attending our conference. Okay.
Okay, let's call Mr. Moon Seok-jin, the mayor of Seodaemungo City in Seoul Metropolitan City.
Hello, everybody. It's a great chance.
And I think it will be a great power from the lifelong learning cities to fight against COVID-19. And we will expect to make the one great the network in our ASEAN Pacific areas. Yeah. So I'm glad to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's go to Mr. Yeogak Yoon from Korean National Institute for Lifelong Education. He is in charge of the lifelong learning affairs in Korea. Can you turn the microphone?
오케이. 예. 대한민국 국가평생교육진흥원장 윤여각입니다. 여러분.
Hello, I am Yoon Yeogak, President of National Institute of Lifelong Education. It's been translated simultaneously. It is great pleasure for me to meet you all. Today we'll be listening to cases from participating countries, and we'll be discussing how and what we can do to promote lifelong learning in Korea. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I welcome you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can I call DM? The nickname is DM. Okay, maybe.
Raul.
Okay, Raul. Oh, okay.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. It's a real pleasure to see you again, friends, colleagues. Congratulations for the conference. Wish you a lot of success. Reminds me that 1 year ago we were in Medellin in the 4th International Conference on Learning Cities, and gave us a chance to set the strategy for 2019-2021 on how to move cities in order to respond to the needs. So it's a pleasure to be here once again with you, and wish you the best for the conference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rao. And how about Lan Bai from Wuhan? Lan Bai. Can you turn your video on? Maybe not. How about Helena from Wuhan? Okay. Let's go to another Christiana from UIL Hamburg.
Yes, hello. Yes, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much. It's very nice to see you. And also, I mean, being able to cooperate with you during the last days and weeks and really see the effortless commitment was really very inspiring for us. And we wish you all the best. And we wish, of course, to cooperate further in the future with all the GNLC cities, and I hope even more GNLC cities in the region. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, next, Jack Torres Gomez, please.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jack. I'm from Melbourne. I work with Diane in Australia. And thank you very much for having us here today. It's the music was really beautiful before, and I felt a little bit like I was there with you in person. And it's so special to be a part of creating this solidarity with our friends and our colleagues from around the world, and to work together with empathy and kindness during this hard time. And so I hope that we can enjoy the conference together, and I also hope that we can be in touch, and we welcome you to Melbourne, whether it's virtually through these online conferences or even one day in person. We'd love to see you there and welcome you to our beautiful city as well.
So now everybody is invited to Melbourne. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. How about Cassandra from UIL? Am I right? Melton, sorry.
Melton. Hi, my name's Cassandra Connolly. I'm the Lifelong Learning Projects Officer at the City of Melton, which is located right next to the City of Wyndham, where Jack and Diane work. We are very proud to be here today, and thank you for having us with you. We're enjoying the conference so far, and we look forward to collaborating with you in the future. Everyone be well, and hopefully we can be together soon.
Okay, good. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. So now let's go to the opening session. Let's join. Let's enjoy.
Once again, thank you all. Please give them a big hand. Now, let's get started with the conference. Today's conference will be following the order of opening presentation session, special lecture UIA session, Asia Pacific GNLC city presentation, a case presentation of a networking city in other regions of GNLC, a proposal to build an Asia Pacific GNLC network, and a Korean publication ceremony, and a joint declaration and a closing ceremony of Great Report. And now I'd like to invite our moderator. Let us now invite YeonSu, Vice Chair of UIL. Please welcome. Hello. I am YeonSu. I'm the Vice Chair of UIL, and I'll be moderating today's session. I sincerely welcome all the participants from the lifelong learning community from both home and abroad. And from now on, under the theme of Asia Pacific Region UNESCO Life Learning Cities Challenges and Growth, 2020 YeonSu Korea Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference will begin both online and offline. And our first opening session will be delivered by the mayor of YeonSu City, Mr. Ko Nam-seok, who is the co-host of today's event, with the title of GNLC YeonSu's Challenges and Advancements, which is the center of Asia Pacific. Please welcome Mayor with a big round of applause. Before I start my presentation, I have prepared a short video, so please enjoy the video first.
Learner beings always evolve. This is the case with YeonSu, where Songdo International City is. YeonSu-gu, which started out as a lifelong learning city in 2003, was designated as a special education and globalization place and was selected as a member city of UNESCO GNLC in 2018. YeonSu-gu, which has been serving as an international community to create a sustainable and comprehensive lifetime learning for everyone system that no one is left behind, was selected as a coordinator city to host a cluster of global civic education at the 4th World Learning Cities. The evolution of GNLC YeonSu, which opens the future thought sharing, from now on is beginning. YeonSu, a long-standing historical city where Baekje envoys, who started diplomatic relations with China more than 1,600 years ago, stood as a key location in the Pacific periphery, where 15 international organizations, including 7 UN organizations and GCF, 10 prestigious global universities, and global companies were concentrated, with UNAPCICT, UNISDR, UNESCAP, and other UN-affiliate organizations. Experience the diverse cultures of the world at the Foreign Language Open Center and the International Language Experience Center, and become closer to the global neighbors. We'll promote a new tomorrow. Digital technology, which alienates vulnerable groups, is different in YeonSu. Cafes, parks, residential areas, and subway idle spaces are transformed into learning spaces, realizing a place of lifelong education that meets within 10 minutes. Local recipients receive media training and utilize free equipment and facilities to make their own YeonSu Village TV. Broadcasts such as Resident Village Broadcasting Team, YeonSu Reporter, and Village Broadcasting Content. In particular, YeonSu Story is a legacy for future generations and a channel for connecting generations. Smart Learning City will lead the fourth industrial revolution. Breaking down the barriers between learning creates a new standard for smart learning. The challenge is the mission of the time given to us. We are ready for the big world. Beyond YeonSu, beyond the Republic of Korea, beyond the Asia Pacific, and into the world.
Hello, I'm Go Nam-seok. I'm the mayor of YeonSu City. First off, to establish the sustainable cooperative framework, we are here today at 2020 YeonSu Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference, and it is my great pleasure to be here to introduce to you our city. It's a great honor indeed. So today, I'm here today to talk to you about live learning of YeonSu City and our vision, and above all, Asia Pacific GNLC Framework Establishment Action Plans. First, let me talk to you briefly about YeonSu City. YeonSu City was designated back in 2003 as the Lifelong Learning City by Ministry of Education. And by establishing dedicated department, we have strengthened and positioned ourselves as the lifelong learning city in Korea. We are in Incheon City and we have 380,000 population. And we also were designated by Free Economic Zone. So with the smart city infrastructure, we are developing as a global hub city. Also, back in 2012, we also were designated by Global Education Special Zone. So we now have global universities and we are working on cooperative projects with them. Media Center, Welfare Center, Happy Learning Center. We have established various different lifelong learning related centers within the city. 2020, the whole world was faced with the unprecedented challenge, and this has also gave a huge impact on the life learning. Schools were shut down, and our efforts had to be stopped. But now it's time for us to get back up again. Why? Because to strengthen learners, we provide initiatives and through that, sustainable, inclusive city. This is our mission and we have to achieve this. And that is why YeonSu in this post-corona era is working on establishing new normal in this education sector, and we had to make decisive actions. First, offline-centered paradigm had to be shifted. Second, physical access should be improved with technological learning. So that should have been our focus. That should be our focus. And third, we have to provide diverse curriculum management, and we also need to create the education environment that puts the site at the very center. Also, to advance as a global lifelong learning city, first, we have learned from the Golden Harbor ecosystem learning city, and second, roofless campus. Third, 100 years future city YeonSu. Fourth, city that is going global. So with these four visions, we have been pushing forward with various projects. And with these visions, and to achieve these visions, we are working with various ministries within our city and gather all the valuable resources to run relevant programs. Also, from the local government to the central government and to the global community, we are holding various events, and these efforts to strengthen cooperative moves will be a great help to our journey. YeonSu back in 2019 had joined GNLC, and as a part of the global community, we'll be strengthening our efforts. Back in 2019, in Colombia, in the fourth conference, we introduced our city to the global community, and with many people's support, we have become and selected as the coordinator city of GNLC. I thank you for your support. In 2020, YeonSu will be taking a greater step, and we are building the cornerstones. As a coordinator city, along with the Civil Education Forum, we have hosted various events, and we are also working very hard on hosting the 5th ICLC International Conference. We have submitted application. So please give us a big hand if you think that YeonSu should be the hosting city. Thank you. With your support, I hope that Acharya and other relevant officials will be evaluating our city in the way that we all wish for. And these are the efforts that we'll be putting. First, in the post-corona era, to define new normal, we'll be working with global scholars for our shared vision. And second, with the conference, book festival, climate change day, and media festival, we'll be dealing with various global events so that we can make this conference as the venue for a true global festival. Third, fireworks, study culture tour will be the ones that we'll be working on to deliver you unforgettable memory. Once again, I look forward to your continued support. Third is our proposal to activate our GNLC network in Asia Pacific region. We have shining culture in this region, and it is emerging as the very center of the world. And of 175 member cities, we have more than 70 cities. So to strengthen the capabilities, we are looking at the importance of lifelong city. Above all, I believe that happiness of the learner should be at the center of all these efforts. And with this, we need to join our forces together. So now is the time, more than any time than ever, we need to show our strength and our inclusiveness to the world. Each individual's capabilities, development, and sustainable development, we need to present this positive impacts to all these, and through mutual cooperation, we need to set up and build specialized capabilities. And if we promote our network, then we can expect synergistic effects down the road. Asia Pacific that is becoming one. Asia Pacific GNLC that is becoming one. To that end, YeonSu, the global learning city of Korea, will be joining in the journey. And I hope that we can all enjoy enjoyable life through lifelong learning. Thank you. Going beyond Korea to become the center of Asia Pacific GNLC, YeonSu's efforts and ambitious plans were reflected in the presentation. It was great. Thank you once again for your presentation, Mr. Ko. Let us give him a big hand once again. I think I can feel the hope. Korea is now the center of Asia Pacific, as well as taking an important central role in Asia Pacific GNLC's network. And next, let's move to the special session. Let us now invite Professor Han Seung-hee, who is also a UIL's editorial committee's member. He'll be presenting us a special lecture titled Response Strategy of Global Learning Cities in the Post-COVID Era from the perspective of global citizenship education. Let's now invite Professor Han with a big hand. Please welcome. Over 1,000 of years, mankind has experienced different crises, and we have wisely overcome them. Infectious disease alone, there was a plague that shook Europe in the 14th century, smallpox in the 17th century, and about 100 years ago we had the Spanish flu. But not only have we overcome them, but we've also built a much stronger resilience and stronger world. The same will be true of where COVID-19 passed. Hopefully, we'll be going back to normal, and in that process, there will be more learnings and realizations. Every time we overcome crisis and recover life, small but meaningful new patterns of life have been created and have become the next generation's universal values. This opens a door that had previously been closed, connects broken points, and creates a new channel. And I think it's the same again. In the process of COVID-19, our realizations and habits will stay there and will be part of as a new pattern in our lives and culture. And this is the new normal of the post-corona era. But the characteristics of new normal vary. But as global capitalism retreats, and as the non-face-to-face and online strengthened, these numerous changes are now emerging. Among them, from our city's perspective, what attracts us is human communication, relationships, and coexistence, and change of our living. Spending online and communicating non-face-to-face will likely change the big picture of our city life, and smart office and telecommuting, Industry 4.0, big data, these will create a new connections that will combine the place of living and place of work. The biggest challenge is now how to tie people's relationships and networks together in new ways. Meeting face-to-face, enjoying performances, if these things fade away, although this can be replaced by non-face-to-face meetings, our social capital, trust, solidarity, and the public sphere and sacrifice, all of this will be weakened. Perhaps this should be built in a new way, and to do that, we would need to learn new citizenship. UNESCO's Dealers Report mentioned learning to live together, and this is why we need to think about this in a more serious manner. Our biggest enemy in dealing with COVID-19 is fear and ignorance. When COVID-19 first spread, nobody knew what it was about, and the initial mortality rate was above 10%. There were numerous fake news, and earlier in the pandemic, the head of the WHO said, "We are still learning about this new virus. Our ignorance, imagination, fear, these are the biggest enemy." And to overcome such crisis, we need to go back to learning. We need to learn the knowledge gained through scientific evidence. In retrospect, the human civilization survived thanks to our learning power. Learning makes us stronger every day. Learning cities in crisis will find answers in times of crisis. Going forward, we'll be meeting the world dominated by artificial intelligence, the future of carbon energy depletion, global warming and climate change, Arctic ice melting and rising water levels, and global migration and the closing of borders, and economic slowdowns, and all of this will be the new challenges that we'll be facing. And there's no single answer, and we have to find an answer for such questions. And the reason why we emphasize lifelong learning is that we have to solve these problems together. People say that the reason why Korea's COVID-19 quarantine measures were successful is 3 T's, trace, test, treat. And all of this combined are the IT and healthcare technologies, but I don't think that this alone can resolve the COVID-19 pandemic in Korea. It was possible because there was one another visible T, that is think. There are people who believe that COVID-19 is the biggest conspiracy ever, or if you think just like President Trump, who think that mask is not necessary, the technologies that I've just mentioned will not be able to function properly. One person's inappropriate thoughts can break down the entire society's quarantine system, and this will be such a disastrous future. And in everything, I think there's an element of technology and human. To overcome COVID-19, we need to think, in short, through this COVID-19 crisis, our belief that technology will resolve everything should be left behind. Going forward, cities will become smarter. Technology, big data will be adding more convenience to our city lives, but smart city, so far, we did not really see collective intelligence of the people. We only understood the comfort and technical aspect of technology. In cities, this technology and the human thought should coexist. Smart technology, rather than separating individuals, it need to function to connect individuals and improve creativity. Through the COVID-19 pandemic, we learned how important it is that we have solidarity, empathy, and responsibility. And I believe that this indeed is the biggest sign of evolution. And now cities need to think more about growing the collective intelligence of citizens. And to that end, we need to learn solidarity and empathy, and these opportunities should be given. For example, human rights, democracy, equality, justice, peace, environment, engagement, how to live together. All of these tasks need to gain more attention. The smart city that we are talking about should not just be accompanied by fancy technology, but also the human values. And in this regard, smart cities and learning cities are just like two sides of the coin. And please remember that global citizenship, this task, our challenge, will play a key role in this process. We should never forget this. Learning cities link personal knowledge to each other, and cities need to go beyond being the simple set of individual citizens and will need to create a new community, creativity. With such creativity, cities can grow, solve problems, and create new opportunities. Global Learning City Network may be an experimental forum for realizing this civic learning. Asia-Pacific region is where 2/3 of global population live. It is most competitive region and is the richest region and has the oldest civilizations. In the journey of realizing these incredible possibilities, I hope that Asia-Pacific's global learning cities, solidarity and cooperation will play a practical role. And I also hope that the cooperation platform that they are creating will be the key to solving the unknown problems that may come in the future. Thank you. Professor Han is, of course, a well-known scholar in lifelong learning, but also he's a well-recognized scholar as well as a keynote speaker at UNESCO, shouldering with the globally well-known scholars. And today's special lecture about response strategy of global learning cities in the post-COVID-19 era was very much informative, and I believe we learned so much from the lecture. And now let's move to UIL's session. UIL is the co-organization of today's event. And UIL's head, Mr. David Achuarena, the chair of UIL, will be delivering us the current trends of global learning cities and why is it that network is needed, and what is the meaning of global network of lifelong learning cities. So please welcome David Acharina.
Ladies and gentlemen, greetings on behalf of the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning in Hamburg, here in Germany. I'm delighted to welcome all of you to this important event, highly relevant considering the enormous challenges we are now facing due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Events such as this conference provide us with the opportunity to share experiences of effective lifelong learning strategies to respond to this challenge. Education and lifelong learning have been the focus of national and local policy efforts to ensure continuity of learning for children, young people and adults. Innovative solutions have been promoted, including family and intergenerational learning. In these challenging circumstances, we have all been obliged to adopt and learn new skills quickly. 1 year ago, many of us gathered in Medellin, Colombia for the 4th International Conference on Learning Cities organized by the UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities. Mayors, government representatives and experts from all world regions came together around the topic of inclusion as a principle for lifelong learning and sustainable cities. It was an opportunity to learn how cities around the world design and implement policies to ensure that education benefits everyone, including marginalized groups. It was a time to share best practice, to build partnerships, and to launch the Global Network of Learning Cities strategy for the period 2019-2021. Today is another opportunity to highlight the great value of fostering partnerships. In recent years, an increasing number of cities across Asia have joined the GNLC. The expansion of the network in Asia has paved the way for a regional initiative to strengthen cooperation between learning cities. From Afghanistan to Vietnam, the network of learning cities is continuing to grow in Asia, and initiatives gathering GNLC members in the region could indeed facilitate targeted actions specific for the needs of the cities of the Asia-Pacific region. My colleague Raul Valdez will say more later about the strong cooperation efforts undertaken in the Latin American and Caribbean region. The UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities continues to build and strengthen partnerships around the globe. Last month, more than 50 cities from 27 countries joined the network. Each of these new members represents an outstanding example of how lifelong learning can become a reality at local level. The UNESCO Learning Cities have proven that effective lifelong learning policies and practices can support the development of inclusive, safe, resilient and sustainable cities and contribute to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. During the pandemic, they have shown that they are well placed to make lifelong learning a reality, supporting their citizens' continued learning in extraordinary conditions. Throughout the early months of the pandemic, the UNESCO GNLC hosted a series of webinars at which mayors, education experts and other learning city stakeholders discussed challenges and shared local solutions to the COVID-19 crisis. I will give a few examples to illustrate how useful such learning process can be. In France, learning cities started to meet on a regular basis to share know-how and best practice. The notion of learning cities is now being expanded to that of learning territories. In Italy, a roundtable discussed the role of learning cities and new forms of education. The Italian Learning Cities family has grown from 3 to 5 cities and regularly proposes projects and activities. Learning festivals worldwide were transformed into online events. Cities in Ireland and Australia joined forces and organized the festivals collectively with a bigger outreach and a higher number of stakeholders. These activities, ladies and gentlemen, reflect the efforts of cities to transcend the challenges posed by the pandemic, not only engaging with current difficulties, but attempting to look beyond to set the scene for the future. It is inspiring and profoundly encouraging to see GNLC members motivated and interested in the network's future and taking ownership of this agenda through a participatory approach. It may be tempting to try to return to the normal situation. However, the pandemic has exposed and exacerbated urban vulnerabilities such as deficient public services and patterns of development contributing to the climate change and to the emergency and spread of disease. Instead of returning to the same path, there is an opportunity to move towards forms of community development that are sustainable, resilient, and include everyone. Lifelong learning can help us to develop the skills we need to make the most of the opportunities that emerge from these challenges. We know one thing: no one can meet the challenges alone. We must take action together and pool our resources. The global network of learning cities provides the platform for such cooperation around the priorities adopted in the GNLC strategy. Today, this regional conference can be a catalyst for enhanced cooperation among GNLC members cities in Asia and the Pacific. Today's conference constitutes a promising step in that direction. So thank you very much and all the best for your discussions today.
Thank you so much, David Atsuarina, for your presentation. Next is also a presentation from UIL. Mr. Raul Valdez-Cotera, he is taking such an important role in life learning at UNESCO, and he has visited Korea a number of times, and he'll be talking to us about Latin American GNLC network trend and cases. The network is called LARC, and including the case, he'll be talking to us about the global trends and cases. Let us now invite Mr. Raul Valdez-Cotera. Please welcome.
Distinguished authorities, responsible people for organizing the conference, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. I am pleased and honored to join you during the 2020 YeonSu Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference and wish to warmly thank our host for the dedication in preparing this important international conference. The concept of lifelong learning is rooted in the integration of learning and living. It entails learning activities of all ages, in all life contexts, and through a variety of formal, non-formal, and informal modalities. Cities are key actors due to the proximity of citizens and local resources to implement this comprehensive understanding of lifelong learning. At this conference, we'll have the chance to debate effective ways of and fundamental conditions for transforming the Sustainable Development Goals into local actions through a lifelong learning approach. I am very pleased to note the commitment of experts from cities around the world to meet today and provide a great opportunity for cities to engage in a global dialogue and strengthen partnership with other cities of the network. The members of the UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities are currently working based on the 2019-2021 strategy that was adopted in Medellin 1 year ago, and the 7 thematic areas of interest that were organized. For the first time, cities are working so close with other member cities of the network, and is a great networking opportunity itself. Thematic clusters are coordinated by 2 to 3 cities in cooperation with UIL and with technical partners. The biggest clusters comprises of more than 70 cities, such as ESD. Within the region of Latin America and the Caribbean, in particular, UIL is working closely with 10 cities, but also with international civil associations of the network of cities. For example, we just signed an agreement with Mercociudades, which is a network that currently has 350 and 53 member cities in South American countries. The objective of the collaboration is to promote excellence in education and lifelong learning, inclusion and sustainable development of citizenship, but also exchange of information, documentation, and materials, and organization of seminars, workshops, symposia, and online or face-to-face conferences. The region of Latin America and the Caribbean is an exemplary case of GNLC's network practices within the clusters and more specific among the city members. At this point, I would like to briefly mention two examples from the region that have boosted the practice of lifelong learning among cities and forged stronger links between them, but also serve as a capacity development for city experts and relevant stakeholders. The GNLCs in Colombia, in cooperation with the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning, organized a series of webinars to share information on the response of Colombian and Latin American cities during the COVID-19 crisis. The series of thematic webinars serves as a tool for Latin American cities to face the emerging challenges and to share the learn from region best practices in this critical situation. Similar to the Colombian cities, GNLC, together with the Mexican Network of Learning Cities, has been organized weekly webinars, until now a total of 7, on the challenges and prospects of the emergency caused by COVID-19 within the framework of lifelong learning. The aim was to chart the consequences and changes that are taking place in the sectors of education, health, and in economy, and what measures can be taken to create a culture of change through lifelong learning. Each webinar had a special focus from a wide range of topics, including health and well-being, quality education, gender equity, sustainability, peace, and justice. It's important to mention that the Mexican Network of Learning Cities just presented a strategic plan to the House of Representatives to support learning cities in the country in the implementation of lifelong learning. With these two examples, I would like to show what is happening in Latin America. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage the members of the network in the Asia-Pacific region to build a strong collaboration will draw on experience and knowledge sharing. Once again, thank you for the organization of the conference, as I am confident that it will provide a rich learning experience for all of us. I also hope to meet many of you again, this time face-to-face, and wish you a successful conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raul. Since the speakers have many messages to deliver to the audience, the time automatically extended about maybe 50 minutes. So about 1 hour left. Now we are going to have a short Q&A session. So if you have any comments, opinion about the presentations, please turn on your video and then raise your hand. Unfortunately, Professor Han Sung-hee is not online, so please give us the questions related to the presentation of David or Raul. Maybe they present this almost perfectly, so that's why. Then, so, okay, let's continue the session. So, okay, the moderator will come automatically.
So, thank you so much, Laura Vadesa Kotera of UIL. And next, we'll move to URL prize-winning specialized cities session. First, back in 2019 at Columbia Medellin at ICLC, the fourth conference, the winner was actually a Korean city of Seodaemun. and he indeed raised the status of Korea. So let us now invite Mr. Moon Seok-jin, Mayor of Seodaemungu. He is also the president of GNLC Network of Korea.
Seodaemungu, a city of education and culture rich in nature space, connects the city center and its outskirts as a central area in the northwestern region. Seodaemungu, designated by the Ministry of Education as a lifelong learning city, carries out the Lifelong Learning City project to cultivate future talents in the era of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. The Lifelong Learning City is a comprehensive lifelong learning system in the region that helps anyone learn anytime, anywhere, to improve the quality of life and competitiveness of the city as a whole.
안녕하세요. 서대문구청장 문석진입니다. 평생학습도시 서대문구에 오신 여러분 환영합니다. 여러분은 서대문 하면 무엇이 떠오르세요? 향긋한 풀려음이 있는 힐링 코스인 안산자락길, 아니면 숭고한 독립투사들의 얼이 있는 서대문 형무소인가요? 여러 모습들이 공존하고 있는 서대문구는 교육도시로서도 유명합니다. 남녀노소 누구나 배우고자 하는 의지만 있다면 언제 어디서나 학습의 문이 열려있는 여기는 평생학습도시 서대문구입니다. 그러면 지금부터 평생학습도시 서대문구가 어떤 역사를 가지고 있는지 말씀드리겠습니다. 2013년 교육부 평생학습도시로 지정된 이래 2016년에는 유네스코 글로벌 학습도시 네트워크에 가입을 했고 2019년 유네스코 글로벌 학습도시상을 수상을 했습니다. 전국 평생학습도시 협의회 회장도시로 역할을 하는 등 학습도시 간의 네트워크 활성화, 파트너십 구축에 앞장서고 있습니다. 세계 평생학습의 문 서대문구라고 하는 평생교육 비전 아래 서대문구는 평생학습도시의 조성사업을 통해서 주민 최우선의 학습사회를 만들고 글로벌 평생학습 관문을 세우고 대한민국 평생학습의 모범 모델을 이루고자 하고 있습니다.
Through urban small learning community and vertical alley activation, which are lifelong learning city projects, Seodaemungu not only won the 2017 Korea Lifelong Learning Awards, Seodaemungu also received the UNESCO Learning City Award for the first time in the Seoul Metropolitan Autonomous Region in 2019, through projects that shows uniqueness of Seodaemungu, such as Jimjeolbang Humanities and Vertical Alley Revitalization. As part of the Lifelong Learning City project, Seodaemungu also establishes and operates the Seodaemungu Lifelong Learning Center and Convergence Talent Training Center. Opened in June 2020, it operates various experiences related to the Fourth Industrial Revolution, including 3D, Webtoon, IoT, creator and autonomous vehicles, as well as education and civic competency programs. Moreover, Seodaemungu has enacted the ordinance to support democratic citizenship education and currently carries out various programs to enhance the capacity of citizens. Citizens University, Fourth Industrial Revolution Concert, and Themed Parent Academy are good examples. In addition, Seodaemungu is also operating lifelong education programs in partnership with universities. Seodaemungu, a learning city with 9 universities, including YeonSu University and Ewha Women's University, is running various programs in various fields, such as the Women's Leadership Academy, by selecting universities and other affiliated institutions as lifelong education programs. Moreover, it is promoting the creation of work-study jobs through work-study projects like Vertical Alley Revitalization Program, Resident Lecturer Competency Building, and Work-Life Balance Support Project. This is Seodaemungu, where learning is possible anytime, anywhere through the Ward Unit Learning Center. 15 neighborhood learning centers in the Dong Unit and 50 vertical alley learning spaces.
오늘은 3D 프린팅을 했는데 그 3D 프린팅에서 그 모델링하는 게 재밌었어요. 그 자세히 잘 알게 되어서 재밌었어요. 그리고 아주 유익했습니다.
좀 더 삶의 좀 질이 좀 향상이 됐다 할 수 있겠고요. 또 더 나은 프로그램이 나온다면 들을 의향도 있습니다. 보면 밤늦게까지 이제 수강하시는 분들을 보고 같이 수강하면서 많은 감동을 느꼈거든요. 앞으로 서대문구 평생학습 도시 발전에 많은 도움이 되고서 같이 다 참여하고 싶습니다.
제가 기상청 입사 준비를 하고 있는데 살짝 시간이 남는 동안 이 교육을 신청하게 됐고, 기상청 쪽에서도 기상 드론을 활용하는 것으로 알고 있습니다. 그래서 기상청에 입사하고 나서도 이쪽으로 좀 살려보고자 하는 마음에 드론 전문가 양성 과정에 지원을 하였습니다.
4차 산업이 되면서 드론의 쓰임새가 많을 것 같아서 배우고 싶어서 지원하게 되었습니다. 이런 좋은 기회를 받게 해준 서대문구에 감사드립니다. 감사합니다.
좀 배우고 싶은 마음이 있었는데 시기가 좀 잘 맞게 되어서 신청을 하게 되었습니다. 네, 어렸을 때부터 조금 관심이 많아서 기타에 관련된 일을 할 수도 있지 않을까 생각해 봅니다. 너무 감사드립니다.
As such, Sodemunggu is putting a lot of effort into the Lifelong Learning City project for its citizens, and it will continue to do its best for the citizens, so they can develop their capabilities and feel the joy of learning through the Lifelong Learning City Development Project. Sodemunggu, a happy city aiming for openness while making beautiful changes.
A happy city that goes with its people. It was a presentation of Sodemung case. 새로골목 project or sauna school. All these projects were indeed were presented. And the next is another winning city. Let's now look at the Shanghai's case, delivered by Min Qing, Vice President of Shanghai City.
各位朋友，大家好，我是上海市教育委员会副主任倪明锦。上海一直积极支持并致力于推进人人皆学、处处能学、时时可学的学习型社会建设。自2006年以来，这项工作呢，始终成为上海城市建设和发展的基本目标之一。2011年，上海颁布了《终身教育促进条例》。2019年，上海加入全球学习型城市网络，并成为可持续发展主题的协调城市之一。上海和德国汉堡市、芬兰艾斯波市深度合作，正在推动全球可持续发展教育研究，并发布了可持续发展教育上海行动计划。上海与北京、武汉、成都、杭州等学习型城市密切交流合作。我们也通过各类论坛、学术交流活动和韩国、日本、澳大利亚、新西兰的同行保持着密切联系。我们将积极关注参与亚太地区全球学习型城市网络的相关活动，期待和大家共同致力于区域和全球学习型城市的发展。谢谢大家。
上海学习型社会建设正全力助推5个中心和4大品牌建设，加快迈向卓越的全球城市。市委市政府高度重视学习型社会建设，提出到2020年率先总体实现教育现代化，基本建成学习型社会，终身教育服务水平达国际先进水平。市区街镇居村委学习点 专兼职教师、志愿者队伍构成的终身教育服务体系日臻完善。在这里，国内首家省市级学分银行在上海开放大学建成。上海市民终身学习体验基地为市民提供了体验式、互助式的学习新方式。上海市民终身学习人文行走项目，打造了用脚步丈量历史、用行走感知文化的新颖学习方式。两大品牌双双被评为全国特别受百姓喜爱的终身学习品牌项目。上海，一座迈向全球卓越的学习之城，正焕发出灿烂的学习光芒。2020年，上海欢迎您。
A massive city, China's Shanghai's case, it was Korea and China are taking an important role in GNLC Asia. Metropolitan city, vast city, Shanghai's lifelong learning vision was well reflected in the presentation. And now, let's move to another case. Melton City in Australia. Sally Edwards will be presenting the case.
함께 멜튼시를 만나보시죠.
Hello from the City of Melton, Australia. As the first UNESCO Learning City in Australia, we thank you for this opportunity to participate in the conference and send our congratulations on the hosting of this event. Melton City Council is proud to lead, inspire and motivate the community to engage in and embrace lifelong, life-wide and life-deep learning. Through learning, working and growing together, we will build a better future for ourselves and our community. And in doing so, we will raise the hopes and aspirations and have a positive impact on our future. A city known for its rich diversity, strong sense of community, unique mix of urban and rural lifestyles, and well-designed community spaces, the City of Melton brings an abundance of opportunities for citizens to live, learn and grow in a thriving city. Melton is located approximately 30 kilometres west of Melbourne, Victoria, and is one of the fastest growing municipalities in Australia. Recognised nationally and internationally as a leader in the learning city landscape, Melton City Council has a history of firsts. Melton was the first local government in Australia to adopt a community learning plan, the first to establish a joint council and community group to guide the development of learning within the city. And we were the first to implement a governance model for the Community Learning Board and lifelong learning across the city. Melton was also the first city in Australia to become a member of the UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities and the first to receive a prestigious Learning City Award. Another key learning outcome, and a first in Australia, was the development of an online, interactive, engaging learning directory in 2017. Melton Learning facilitates the enrolment of hundreds of learning opportunities, including accredited qualifications, work skills, digital literacy, languages, and social and hobby-based courses. The City of Melton actively engages in a range of partnerships to assist in providing meaningful pathways to further education and employment to people of all ages and from all gender and cultural groups. Melton has also forged international partnerships in the quest to close the digital divide, including acting as one of the coordinating cities in the Digital and Equity Inclusion Cluster. We recently had the pleasure of co-organising the first global virtual learning festival in September 2020 with our close neighbours, the City of Wyndham, with events from every continent, and approximately 8,500 people participated over the 4-day period. As a council, we are future focused with a dedicated program of digital literacy learning, including the launch of our Active and Engaged Seniors program aimed at the inclusion of seniors in a meaningful and dignified manner. We have also increased the number of STEM programs for all members of our community, but with a particular focus on young girls and women. With a strong focus on bridging that digital divide, the City of Melton is working with federal government and local partners to improve the digital literacy programs across many socio-demographic cohorts, including seniors, migrants and Indigenous populations. Therefore, all of our community learning hubs will be guided by the principles for good 21st century learning environments and will incorporate fit-for-purpose technology. Melton City Council's next learning strategy is about to be implemented and represents a major 10-year investment and commitment by Council and the community to develop Melton into a place to live, a place to learn and a place to grow. This sixth generation strategy reflects the maturing of partnerships and positions learning as a strategic driver in the continued development of the City of Melton, as it builds on the strong foundations of earlier plans and the bold ambitions to further extend the impact of learning. Underpinned by principles of innovation, inclusivity, equity, place-based, responsive, participatory and future-focused, the strategy puts learners and learning as the key drivers of change in our community. It is Council's desire to meet the current challenges, to equalise social and economic disadvantage, to increase digital inclusion and competencies, to improve learning opportunities and to increase prosperity and raise aspirations of our citizens that has shaped this strategy. Melton City Council strongly believes learning is fundamental to the well-being, prosperity and sense of belonging to the people of Melton. The City of Melton is committed to working with the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning and the Global Network of Learning Cities. We welcome you all to connect and collaborate with us as global partners. Together we can build a stronger and better world for everyone.
네.
There was so much to learn from Melton's case. And now, once again, another Chinese city. It's Wuhan. Mr. Wanping Lee of Ministry of Education will be presenting to us. Let's meet Wuhan.
大家好，感谢韩国会议主办方的邀请，让武汉能有机会与各伙伴城市进行交流与分享。今年4月8日，历经76天的封城之后，武汉解除离汉离鄂通道管控，武汉按下重启键。5月14日，武汉开展新冠病毒核酸全面大筛查，集中核酸检测排查近990万居民，实现了8项疫情监控指标全部清零。在落实疫情防控措施前提下，武汉的地铁、列车、航班全面恢复正常，商场、超市、宾馆、餐馆等生活场所全面开放，街道恢复了车水马龙，景区、公园、绿道人流涌动。9月1日，武汉139.9万名中小学生和幼儿迎来秋季正常开学，120多万名大学生也陆续返回校园。11国庆节期间，武汉接待游客人数达1882.46万人次。现在的武汉是一座安全的城市，是一座全面恢复如常的城市。武汉欢迎您。
70多天，1800多小时，600多万秒，风雨中不一样的城，难以忘记晚会中那些深沉温暖的色彩。天使白，
要坚持啊！咱们都要好好的活着啊！
守护蓝，
现在需要我们这样的人去托底。
志愿红，
国家需要有人挺身而出，我觉得我需要到前线来，
让平常回归平常。
从4月8号零时起，武汉市解除离汉离鄂通道管控措施。
云开雾散，繁华依旧。我会看见五大樱花浪漫的粉红，光谷转盘炫酷的科技蓝， 鹦鹉洲大桥火辣的艳阳红，江汉路夜色撩人的热闹城。风雨之后，幸福依旧。我会看见金灿灿的热干面，亮晶晶的壶米酒，人间百态将在嬉笑欢闹中重演。七彩流光会在大街小巷间欢腾。江汉关的钟声依然雄浑，我们的城依旧耸立。
武汉에
So far, we've watched the cases of Wuhan. In the midst of COVID-19, they successfully overcome the difficulties and managed to showcase their case for lifelong learning. And next is Gwangmyeong City of South Korea. Gwangmyeong City for a long time has focused a lot on the civil education. It is known as the Mecca for civil education. So for a short moment, Mayor of Gwangmyeong will be presenting us. Let's meet Gwangmyeong. Hello all, I am Park Seung-won. I'm the mayor of Gwangmyeong City. My deepest congratulations on the opening of 2020 YeonSu Korea Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference. Back in 1999, for the first time in Korea, we have declared ourselves as the lifelong learning city in Korea, and also we have also declared as the lifelong learning city for people with disabilities. We are striving to become the city where everybody can learn anywhere, anytime. And we are very much proud of ourselves, and anybody can discuss our city issues anytime, anywhere. And now Gwangmyeong is striving to become a global lifelong learning city as a global citizenship with a sense of citizenship. I look very much forward to receiving your support, and I also, my part, will be sending my support to all of you. COVID-19 has reshaped the world completely. Our daily lives has been hugely affected, and we are in a position to charter a new way, and in that journey, learning will play an important role. We'll be continuously be in the journey, and I very much encourage you to be with us and join forces with us. Congratulations. So far, we've looked at the cases of GNLC winning cities. Of course, we are having this online, but with these cases, I believe there's so much to learn, and we learned a lot, and this reaffirmed our cooperation. And now, how GNLC's network and how governance is formed, we'll be inviting other regions. First, Hamburg of Germany will be the next turn. Hamburg indeed is a metropolitan beyond just a city, and Hamburg's Ralph will be presenting how Hamburg is preparing towards the future and what are the challenges they are taking on. Please give him a big hand and welcome Ralph.
A warm welcome from the free and Hanseatic city of Hamburg in Germany. My name is Ralph Behrens from the Hamburg Ministry of Environment. 15 years ago, in 2005, we established in Hamburg the network Hamburg is Learning Sustainability. And with more than 140 members of this network of ESD stakeholders from 70 different NGOs, we developed during the last 3 years the Hamburg ESD strategy, and we call it Hamburg Master Plan on ESD 2030. The main goal of this master plan is to implement ESD into all education sectors in Hamburg. And we are very happy to share our experience in Hamburg with you colleagues from the global network of learning cities. Goodbye.
In Hamburg liegt ein Natur- und Erholungsgebiet der Extraklasse, Gut Karlshöhe. Ein beliebter Treffpunkt für Groß und Klein. Hier dreht sich alles um natürliche und nachhaltige Lebensart. Entdecken Sie die heimische Pflanzenwelt in unserem Bauerngarten. Das ist wie Ferien auf dem Bauernhof.
Tun wir etwas für uns und unsere schöne Welt.
Der Klimaschutz gehört zu den wichtigsten Aufgaben unserer Zeit. Und deshalb wollen wir mit Kita 21 die Klimaretter, eine Allianz aus Wirtschaft, Verwaltung und Politik, etwas unternehmen. Wir zeigen Kita-Kindern und Erwachsenen, wie einfach es ist, das Klima und die Welt zu schützen. Mit unseren Fortbildungen helfen wir Erzieherinnen und Erziehern, Methoden und Inhalte auf die Zukunft auszurichten und in Alltagssituationen anzuwenden.
Nun steht für Norddeutsch und nachhaltig.
Ein Qualitätssiegel der Länder Hamburg, Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, Sachsen-Anhalt und Schleswig-Holstein für hochwertige Bildungsarbeit zu Zukunftsthemen.
It was Hamburg's case, Green Lifelong Learning case. The next is again from Europe, Swansea of the UK. Mr. Rob Stewart, City Council Chair, will be presenting to us. Please welcome Rob Stewart with a big round of applause.
Hello, my name is Judith James, and I'm delighted that Swansea Learning City has been invited to this exciting and important conference. Wales is one of the 4 countries which make up the UK, and it's shown as the darker green country on this slide. Sustainable development is central to all we do, and collaboration is one of our 5 ways of working. Swansea was awarded the UNESCO Learning City Award in 2015. Swansea Learning City has networks at many levels, of many kinds, within Swansea and with learning cities worldwide. I would like to introduce the leader of Swansea Council, Mr. Rob Stewart.
I'm Rob Stewart, leader of Swansea Council. I know that Swansea is immensely proud to be part of the UN Global Network for Learning Cities. So I'd like to share with you a little bit about the work that we're doing here in Swansea and our passion for education and lifelong learning. to take the opportunity to use the International Day of Learning to congratulate all those who are doing so much hard work across the world. Swansea is immensely proud to be part of that network. Let's keep up the good work.
Swansea networks citywide and community deep. Within the city, Swansea has many networks which contribute to building the learning city. Swansea Skills Partnership has the responsibility for strategic planning for the learning city. Led by the Cabinet Member for Education and Lifelong Learning, it has senior representation from universities, colleges of further education, schools, the voluntary sector, lifelong learning, and, importantly, those responsible for city regeneration. The Learning City is coordinated by the Swansea Lifelong Learning Network. Multiple community networks are involved in creating the Swansea Learning Festival. International networks. It is a good idea to have an informal network with a few learning cities which will support each other to develop their initiatives. Swansea is also part of a regional network, Europe and North America. Swansea Learning City is a member of the UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities. Thematic networks. Your city may also wish to join a thematic network. These are the UNESCO Learning Cities thematic networks. Learning City networks share information, support new developments, and build trust. Thank you for listening.
네.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It was the case of Swansea City in the UK. And it was about what are the ways that we go together in the future towards lifelong learning city. And next is Colombia. As I've mentioned several times, Colombia, Medellin is a city that held the 4th conference. And it used to be a city with lots of crimes, but this city has now transformed into the lifelong learning city. And now let us have a look at the case of Medellin, Colombia. Let's invite Mr. Daniel Quintero, Mayor of Medellin City. Please welcome.
Y desde acá, desde Medellín, Colombia, somos una ciudad comprometida con el aprendizaje para toda la vida. Somos una ciudad del aprendizaje nombrada por la UNESCO desde hace algunos años y venimos trabajando en eso y en todo el fortalecimiento de lo que el Instituto de Aprendizaje para toda la Vida de la UNESCO nos dice, precisamente desde iniciar desde la primera infancia hasta continuar incluso hasta la educación superior. Medellín tiene un programa muy potente hoy y en su plan de desarrollo de gobierno como ciudad que está fortaleciendo y es el programa Buen Comienzo, con todos unos temas de inclusión, de fortalecimiento de la creatividad, de otras competencias muy importantes para nuestros niños y niñas de 0 a 5 años, que estamos convencidos que desde ahí podemos hacer una fundamentación importante para todo lo que significa la educación a lo largo de toda la vida. Así que Medellín hoy también se viene consolidando en aspectos como crear de la ciudad o hacer la creación en la ciudad de todo un valle del software, y para eso tenemos una gran apuesta de dotar en tecnología a todas las instituciones educativas, a todos los colegios oficiales de Medellín. Es una apuesta muy importante que ustedes que me escuchan desde el otro lado del mundo, desde Asia, con quien queremos hacer una gran alianza y comprometernos como ciudad del aprendizaje y hacer una gran red también con ustedes de ciudades del aprendizaje. Les contamos que el tema de la tecnología en estos tiempos del COVID-19, temas de pandemia, ha sido muy difícil para nuestra región manejarlo y que no esperábamos, pues por supuesto que esto nos llegara. Así que tenemos una gran apuesta de la dotación de las instituciones educativas con toda la tecnología y con computadores para cada niño de los colegios de Medellín, de manera que puedan estar a la vanguardia de lo que hoy el mundo está requiriendo y de lo que esta pandemia también nos ha alejado de los colegios y que la tecnología nos podrá unir. También tenemos un programa como es la media técnica, que son programas técnicos en los últimos niveles de formación de nuestros estudiantes. Nosotros los llamamos la media, que es el grado 10 y 11. Y la universalización de esa media técnica, es decir, que todos los colegios oficiales de Medellín tengan ese programa, va a ser también muy positivo para una gran transformación educativa que estamos hoy ya caminando y gestando en nuestros currículos, con todos nuestros rectores, con todos los maestros. Tenemos un centro de innovación del maestro, MOVA, desde el cual estamos fortaleciendo la investigación, la innovación, la creatividad, el acompañamiento de esos maestros, que nos podamos encontrar y podamos hablar de todo lo que está pasando en el sistema educativo. Muchas cosas por contarles desde acá, desde Medellín, desde Colombia, para contarles a ustedes también y abrazar los lazos entre Asia y en todas las regiones donde hay ciudades del aprendizaje.
Asia Pacific GNLC Network Address Session. We'll be once again inviting Mr. Moon Seok-jin, President of Korean Association of Lifelong Learning Cities in Korea. He is also the mayor of Seodaemun-gu of Seoul, Korea. APEC GNLC Network. There's been planned. Mr. Moon Seok-jin is being a big part of it. Please welcome Mr. Moon. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Moon Seok-jin, President of the Korean Association of Lifelong Learning Cities in Korea. Today, I'm very much pleased to host this meaningful 2020 Asia Pacific Region UNESCO Learning City GNLC conference in YeonSu City, the gateway of Korea. As of 2020, I am the chairman of an association consisting of representatives of 177 local government learning cities in Korea. Our council is active in 49 member cities of GNLC, a UNESCO learning city. There are a total of 50 countries in the Asia-Pacific region to which Korea is located, is belong to, and of which 72 learning cities from 11 countries are participating in GNLC as of 2019. And this is a high share, about 30% of global GNLC. But on the other hand, only 11 of 50 Asia-Pacific countries, which is around 22%, are participating in the GNLC. So close to 80% of Asia-Pacific countries are not included in the GNLC network. In particular, in the view of the fact that learning cities around the world are playing a very important role in overcoming the recent COVID crisis, it is even more urgent to share information and best practices among learning cities. In this situation, the conference is being held to establish a future-oriented milestone for lifelong learning in the new normal era and to lay the foundation for a learning community, to catalyze shared growth through establishment of a strong and robust network between GNLC member cities. In the future, March 2021, Asia Pacific inaugural general meeting will be scheduled. Then I think today's event is a preparatory conference to the goal. The main activities of JP are planned as follows. First, we intend to promote various activities centering on JP so that it can function as a platform for maximizing synergy and growth catalyst of learning cities around the world by organically linking and cooperating with the global GNLC network. Second, we'll build a database to expand GAP member cities and promote active and expansion-oriented public relations activities using big data. To this end, in addition to regular GNLC member cities, any APEC cities that are willing to participate will be recruited and will be promoting activities together. Third, we intend to establish the strong network GAP by conducting the status survey and demand survey. And reflecting that, we'll be establishing a stronger network. Fourth, we want to create the GAP Foundation to support GAP. Through this, we intend to function as a platform that actively supports activities of other member cities. Fifth, taking into account social changes such as the fourth industrialization and the era of digital transformation and COVID-19, a future-oriented GNLC's new direction and specialized model for each region will also be promoted by our joint endeavor. We need all this inclusive action plan, and with UIL, we'll be preparing and working on creating and expanding our network. This requires active cooperation and participation from all JP member cities. We are connecting our member cities online and will be continuing this effort. We look forward to your cooperation and participation. Thank you. Thank you once again, Mr. Moon, for your presentation. GAP network was the main idea of the speech, and we'll be having inaugural conference next year, and this 50 cities will be joining in this endeavor, especially to establish the smart platform. He indeed gave us some hopes. Next is the Grail report launching session, and this report was published in Korean version. And to celebrate this launch, we'll be having a special session. UNESCO, back in 2009, in Conventia, began to publish reports every 3 to 4 years, and this year especially for the 6th time after English, Arab, Portuguese, and other languages, Korean version was published. So first we'll be inviting Christiana Winter from UIL Grail team. She'll be sharing with us the meaning of the report and the current trends. Let's have a look.
Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. I would like to thank the Korean Association for Lifelong Learning Cities, the Korean National Commission for UNESCO, and all other partners for organizing this conference. I will make a short presentation on UNESCO's fourth global report on adult learning and education, leaving no one behind. Grade 4 was published and launched in December 2019. It is based on a survey that was conducted in 2018, where 159 countries responded. The survey monitors the Belém Framework for Action and the recommendation on adult learning and education. The key messages of this report are: participation in ALE is uneven, In 1/3 of countries, fewer than 5% of adults participate in adult learning and education. Women's participation is growing. The major constraint are poor data. Progress in policy and governance is insufficient. AIL is underfunded. Quality is improving, but not enough. Deep inequalities in participation persist, and vulnerable groups are still excluded. 2030 agenda will only be achieved when AIL is in the center of all countries' efforts. Now some key messages, some information on key messages. The largest increase in participation since 2015 was for women. 59% of 139 member states mentioned this, followed by unemployed adults. 54% of 134 member states mentioned this increase, and adults with lack of education and skills. 48% of 136 member states mentioned this increase. Member states reported the lowest changes in participation for adults with disabilities, for older adults, and for minority groups. Poor data is a major barrier to monitoring inequalities in aid participation. Thus, 46 countries did not show any data on participation. Grade 4 recommends a higher investment in collection and monitoring of data. AIL remains underfunded, as 19% of countries spend less than 0.5% of the education budget on AIL. 14% spend less than 1%. However, Korea does not follow this trend. The Korean Ministry of Education has allocated an increasing portion of its budget to lifelong vocational training since 2014. Following grade 4 in 2014, the budget was 538 billion South Korean won, which was raised to 619.5 billion in 2017. New national agendas were adopted in lifelong education, including the lifelong education voucher. And a big sum was invested in support of the National Center for Lifelong Learning Education promotion for the disabled, as well as in other projects. 57% of countries report progress in quality in literacy and basic skills and continuing training and professional development. And 36% of countries report no participation in citizenship education. Grade 4 recommends a range of tools to increase and widen participation. These are interventions and provision, focused investment, particularly on the least advantaged, interventions to raise demand, financial incentives to reduce cost barriers, and ensuring effective information. We hope that grade 4 is a wake-up call. We are in a point where we are not on track, but we are still within time for realizing the 2030 development agenda, Sustainable Development Agenda. So grade 4 is a call for action to put AIL at the center of efforts to achieve sustainable development societies and recognize its key role in developing integrated, holistic solutions to the problem we face. Thank you.
So it was Christiana Winter's presentation on the report. This green report, the Global Adult Learning and Lifelong Learning Report, has some significant meanings. Let's have a look. So this Korean version was made possible thanks to organizations including Korea Association for Lifelong Learning Cities. So far, UNESCO has published quality reports, but it wasn't really easy to publish a Korean version of such report. Because of this language barrier, we had some difficulties in the past, and going forward, we'll be striving to translate and publish a Korean version of such reports published by UNESCO. So I think it does have a significance. But the biggest meaning behind this report is leaving no one behind. Lifelong learning for all, and how the vulnerable group can also be participating in lifelong learning, and how equity and integration can be achieved. Ms. Audrey Azoulay, through this report, this report was joined by more than 150 countries. She mentioned that we learn from each other and we share together. And the Grail report contents include: first, Berlin action plans are included, and how this 154 member countries been implementing the action plans, and how governance system is, what about the budget and the quality of learning, how this is being guaranteed, and how to maximize the participation. And in the second section, the participation focus is the main theme and includes strategies, best practices. So these vast contents are included, and how these are implying great lessons to 154 member countries. And this Korean version has a very special meaning because it means that there is no more language barrier. Also, think globally, act locally, and building this perspective of global and using collective intelligence is another meaning of this Korean version publication. And finding answers for global lifelong learning. 177 lifelong learning cities in Korea and 17 centers, and 130,000 people of the lifelong learning community in Korea will have no more language barrier in accessing the information. And learning the treasure within, we remember these 4 pillars. It is for understanding, it is for taking action, it is for coexisting, it is for our existence. These 4 pillars are indeed the very important part of this report. So this publication, I believe, has such a great significance, and I hope this can be used widely. And the 5th Grail report, which is under preparation now, will also be published in Korean. So that was it about the Grail report Korean version. This report is here, and to celebrate the publication with all the leaders of lifelong community, please can you share with us a congratulatory message? First, Mr. Moon Seok-jin, any message? Learning should continue. And this report published by UNESCO, all of this information is now accessible in Korea, and we'll learn together here. Thank you. And next, Dr. Yoon Yeog-ak, President of National Institute of Lifelong Education. We are living in Korea, but we are together with other countries on the global stage. Adult learning and education, how this is now being underway. Understanding these trends, I believe, will give us such a significant reference. I hope this will be useful. Thank you. And today, the main host of today's 2020 YeonSu Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference. Mr. Go, please. I thank you all who made it possible for us to have this Korean version of the publication. And next year, I hope that all these endeavors are joined, and we look very much forward to the fruitful result and outcome going forward. The fourth grade report. The main focus is, once again, leaving no one behind. This is the main message of the report, and I hope this spirit should be reminded by all. And once again, at today's conference, we'll be reading out joint declaration. So please come forward. First, Mr. Moon Seok-jin, Mr. Ko Nam-seok of YeonSu City, and President of National Institute of Lifelong Education, Mr. Yoon Yeogak, and Mr. Lee Sung, please come forward. And from now on, we'll be reading out YeonSu Joint Declaration. We'll be having the Joint Declaration of YeonSu, Korea. UNESCO Learning Cities Network in Asia Pacific 2020 Joint Declaration of YeonSu. We, the participants at the 2020 First Asia Pacific UNESCO Learning City Network Conference, jointly hosted by the GNLC, Korea National Commission for UNESCO, and YeonSu City, Incheon, Korea, a member city of UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities, and sponsored by the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning and the Korea National Institute for Lifelong Education, declare as follows. We recognize that lifelong learning is becoming increasingly important in today's world and for a better future of society, and we support citizens themselves to actively cope with the new challenges and to build a better and more sustainable society through interactive connection. We agree that lifelong learning is at the core of social, economic, and cultural prosperity of individual learners, communities, and countries, and we strive to be at the core of policies of all cities, provinces, and countries in the Asia-Pacific region. We are convinced that lifelong learning is at the center of citizens' proactive responses to the global economic crisis and global pandemic crisis that may come in the future. We believe that all citizens are the key stakeholders in building a learning city. Therefore, we build a learning city with all the stakeholders of society, including the city's public and private sectors. We recognize that there have been significant improvements in public health, economic growth, crime reduction, and increased democratic participation in cities and communities that practice lifelong learning for all. Thus, we'll make lifelong learning a key policy for sustainable urban development. Recognizing that lifelong learning is an effective intermediary that connects citizens to the community, and will actively utilize it as a mechanism to connect citizens each other, local communities, and community cities and countries. To this end, we established the GNLC Asia Pacific Network and will actively pursue mutual development between Asia Pacific GNLC member cities, expanding GNLC member cities through its vision, leadership, and governance, reflecting the characteristics of Asia Pacific region. Call to action. We believe that establishment of JP, the Asia Pacific GNLC Network for the Asia Pacific region, will support and improve the practice of lifelong learning in the region by promoting policy dialogue and peer learning among member cities, forging links, fostering partnerships, providing capacity development, and developing instruments to encourage and recognize progress made in building learning cities. 1. We request that all cities in Asia Pacific join the GAP to create platform that maximizes the growth and synergy of Asia Pacific learning cities through GAP. 2. We call on you to actively participate in the formation and realization of the vision, leadership, and governance of GAP to build a sustainable learning city for all cities in the Asia Pacific region. 3. We urge various stakeholders, including citizens, public institutions, NGOs, and civil society organizations, religious organizations, and other private groups from each city to actively participate to promote lifelong learning in their cities. 4. We request that member cities of GAP prioritize lifelong learning in solving specific urban problems and to solve various challenges through specific lifelong learning strategies and policies of each city. 5. We call on member cities of the GAP to actively participate in the development and sharing of effective policies, practices, and projects that can have a positive impact between member cities. 6. We urge each city to take exemplary concrete actions for social, economic, and cultural prosperity, starting with the empowerment of individual citizens of member cities of GAP. 7. We call on the central government of GAP member cities to provide local governments with the basic requirements for building a learning city for all and actively support them. 8. We call on UNESCO to strongly support the capacity building of the GAP member cities for the Asia Pacific in order to be united by lifelong learning for all in the new normal era. And that wraps up the Joint Declaration of 2020 YeonSu Network Conference. Please give a big hand to all. Asia Pacific's all GNLCs are now becoming one here at 2020 YeonSu Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference. We are now nearing towards the end. Mayor of YeonSu-gu, Mr. Ko, will be presenting us with the closing remarks. Please welcome him with a big hand.
This is Nam Sok-ko, the mayor of YeonSu-gu. I would like to thank the participating cities for sharing the insights for the development of the learning city and the formation of a regional network. In the Asia-Pacific region, efforts were made to build and strengthen the network through the Asia-Pacific Regional Conference in Hangzhou, China in 2016 and Gwangmyeong City in 2017. I'm sure that today's meeting was also an opportunity to strengthen our cooperation even more. At this meeting today, we shared our various efforts, including directions for building learning cities by region and city, and generous networking cases in other regions. In the future, we will continue to cooperate in many ways for the sustainable development pursued by UNESCO and the international community and accessible lifelong learning for all. In Korea, there's a saying, opportunity in crisis. The crisis in the international community, such as climate change and environmental destruction, should be taken as an opportunity for change. I propose to build a cooperation system between the Asia-Pacific UNESCO learning cities and to join forces to increase the tolerance of cities to wisely overcome any unforeseen crisis. As a hub city of Asia-Pacific GNLC, YeonSu has various experiences and capabilities and will do its best to establish an Asia-Pacific cooperation system that becomes United Learning City. In the future, we hope to continue more concrete and practical dialogue and believe that we can overcome the crisis of COVID-19 together. I would like to express my sincere thanks to all of you who have been with us for a long time. I hereby declare 2020 YeonSu Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference closed. Thank you.
Thank you. Now this wraps up 2020 YeonSu Asia Pacific GNLC Network Conference. We've learned a lot and we have seen and got insights and lessons. And now Asia Pacific does not consist of 50 countries. It is one community going beyond South Korea, Asia Pacific, and with global GNLC, YeonSu is prepared to be together with the world. And Mr. Moon Seok-jin and Mr. Kim Young-ho, Mr. Yoon Yo-gak, and Mr. David Achuarena of UIL, I thank you deeply. And I also sincerely thank all our participants, and I encourage you to join our effort and our journey. Once again, let us now give ourselves a big hand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before we close this Zoom session, I would like to have time to share some reflection from the participants and the speakers. On behalf of the participant, I would like to ask Judith James from Swansea again for your reflection about this webinar.
Hello. I'm very grateful that you have asked me to this webinar, and I have learned a lot by seeing how many cities across Asia Pacific are really valuing lifelong learning. This is so important, not only because it is inclusive for everybody, but because it enables you to build resilience to deal with shocks which are external to your city, such as the pandemic, such as the changing in the environment. We have wonderful leadership from the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning for each of the cities in the global network of learning cities. And it's very interesting to see how this network within Asia Pacific will develop and be very strong as a network within the global network of learning cities. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Okay, can I ask Auranich Chiang Rai for your reflection? Can you join?
Hey, hi, good evening. Yes, it's very helpful and very great honor because I'm actually a representative from the from Chiang Rai from Thailand, and we went to Colombia with among the members also, and this is the first time that Thailand and Chiang Rai that had participating in the excellent conference webinar, and I hope we could connect together with other members and also been exchange the knowledge, and also hopefully we welcome you all to Chiang Rai. It's quite small city northern of Thailand, but it's really beautiful city, and we also be one of the tea plantation, the large amount of tea plantation, and hope to see you all in my city. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll visit your area because you invite us. Okay. Now I would like to ask Mr. Seokjin Moon, the mayor of Southern Mungu City in Seoul Metropolitan City, to give us some kind of insightful remarks as closing.
Yeah, it's a very difficult time to the world, but through the great effort and great service from the YeonSu City, and the YeonSu City Mayor Ko Nam-seok mentioned, crisis is another opportunity. That's right, I think. And we will overcome this pandemic through the cooperation with our network of Asian Pacific cities. So I wanted to have another time to share our experiences and our knowledge to overcome the worldwide crisis, including COVID-19. So see you next time in YeonSu. Yeah. So everybody, please have a good time. Today is very great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now, Unsil Choi, Vice Chairperson of UIL Governing Board, please.
When we wrapping up the special session like this, it's we never experiencing like this kind of the Zoom virtual meeting, and also the YouTube lines also. So anyway, we will really enjoy it. And we also learn from diverse experience of the GNLC member cities' experiences, and also so insightful information and knowledge. I would like to send my deepest appreciation to UIL, the David Achuarena, and also the Raul Valdez-Cotera, and all the attendants for the webinar session today. I'd like to reconfirm and remind my insight for the lessons from the 4 pillars of the UNESCO lifelong learning concept: the learn to know, the learn to act, the learning to live together, and also learning to be. From this webinar session, I also reconfirm the importance and the meaningful of the collaboration among the member countries of the all over the world, the GNLC member cities. Also, in particularly in the Asian Pacific, the GNLC member cities, we have more than the 72 member cities in Asian Pacific region. It is a really huge region, so I hope it will be the center and also the hub of the all over the world GNLC member cities. Our effort and our conference and our meeting will never ending in this session. Our parade towards the lifelong learning city community in the worldwide will be continue, never stop, and never end. So today, I'd like to send my deepest thanks again to all the sincere attendant, active participants, and also our colleague of the learning cities in the world. See you, and looking forward to our next meeting. We will be more successful. Thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, so also I can see my friend's face on the screen. So I would like to invite Mr. Raul Valdez-Cotera for his closing remark. Raul, please.
Thank you very much to all of you. It was a great chance to learn from all of you how important is cooperation on this difficult time. I'm very touched because of what you have been done, and congratulations to all, because I think this is the way we should tackle these challenges all over the world. So I'm very grateful that we are able to cooperate, yes, among the nation, among the region, but at the international level, that we can hear voices from all over the world in order to support ourselves in different ways and deal with the challenges that we're facing. So we keep on going on this cooperation, on this collaboration among us, and it's clear that cities are the front door for facing all these challenges. Just to say congratulations on behalf of David Achuarena, you as director, and very pleased to see you face to face when possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Now we have last one, the mayor of YeonSu City, who is hosting this wonderful event, Mr. Nam Sok-go. Please welcome him for his closing remark again.
Hello, this is Nam Sok-go, the head of City of YeonSu, Korea. Asia-Pacific GNLC members will continue to cooperate in various ways. The City of YeonSu, Korea eagerly hopes to host the 5th UNESCO International Conference on Learning Cities, ICLC, to be held in 2021. We ask for your interest and support for YeonSu. Somehow, the curtain of COVID-19 can be lifted. All citizens of YeonSu will invite all of you. We sincerely thank all of you who have been together for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.